What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. Starting off in our first row, we do get the card of the Nine of Cups in the reverse, which in the upright it does speak of overindulgence. And when it's in the reverse, it does speak of an underindulged situation. Someone is bored with someone is not happy about something. And I'm assuming it's regarding the universe. The creator and the most high is not happy with a situation or an individual even. He is underwhelmed. And then we also get the card of the officer coming out in that first row. And I'm assuming that this universe was actually forced to step in upon a situation that this higher power was not happy about. And so the higher power did send in an officer upon the situation. And this situation may be regarding a wealthy man. That card did come out, along with this universe being underwhelmed with this wealthy man. And we also get the card of the Hanged Man in that very first row, which does speak of someone being caught up, and whenever you hear or see this Hanged Man, he's actually, he's actually detained, because he cannot free himself. The universe has imposed a situation upon this wealthy man that has got him in the hangman position. Something that he cannot get himself out of. Because, we do have an officer showing up. And, whenever an officer shows up, they're going to detain you. And it doesn't matter until they feel like, if they're doing an investigation or if they have completed their investigation, they're still going to have you detained until they have, satisfied all their efforts or satisfied all of their questions or satisfied their reason for even being there. And some of the times that just by them being there, they're going to make an arrest. Somebody's getting arrested whenever you see this officer show up. And I'm assuming that this person that may be getting detained is probably this wealthy man, coming right out on top of the hanged man, and that hanged man, he is hung. He's upside down and he really cannot free himself. It's going to take some help, to get this person free from this actual, detainment. And this may even be beyond detained. It may be an actual arrest warrant or some kind of you know, a law that was broken that may have put in this person, give this wealthy man some kind of time to sit down, because the universe was not pleased with this wealthy man. The universe had gotten bored of the situation, and he was underwhelmed with this situation also, because he did send in an officer upon this this wealthy man. And it did, he's either being detained or he's either being arrested, because those are the two choices. Whenever you see an officer show up, he's going to put you in handcuffs first off, especially if you pose a threat of, fleeing, or if you even pose a threat like, a physical harm, or if you pose a threat to this officer's safety, he's going to actually detain you or even arrest you, by placing you in the back of the vehicle and taking you to the county or state jail, depending on, whatever vicinity he was picked up. Whomever did pick him up, because it could be a sheriff or just a regular city cop, because judgment is this next card that we get in the second row. Judgment was called upon the situation by way of the universe not being happy with this wealthy man. The universe was underwhelmed and indulged, you know, with whatever, this wealthy man got himself caught up into with that hangman showing up. And he was underwhelmed and brought judgment upon these partnerships and alliances that this wealthy man did take part in. Judgment has been called upon these actual partnerships and alliances that, and even judgment has been called upon these lovers that do come out in the very second row, along with the partnership and alliances. So these lovers had an alliance and a partnership amongst each other to work together on something that was illegal. And it whatever that they did work together in alliance upon, the universe did send in an officer, you know. And we also get the journey card in the reverse. So that lets me know that this was some kind of an illegal, you know, activity or an illegal search and seizure. I'm thinking it was illegal. The actions that were taken were illegal from these partnerships and alliances. They were illegal. And these lovers were participating in also illegal activities as well. Because we do also in the second row get the self-control card coming out in the reverse, which is on top of the message of the Two of Pentacles, which, that speaks of somebody dropping the ball. When it comes down to this journey that was taken, it was an illegal journey that they did take. They did not have any self-control when they took this journey towards these illegal actions that did bring judgment upon their alliance. Judgment has been called upon the alliance regarding these lovers and these partners and alliances. Judgment's been called upon that situation, which did cause someone to drop the ball. That judgment that came down, it caused someone to fumble the ball, on whatever game they were playing. They did drop the ball. And when you're in a game and you drop the ball, your team is going to be pretty upset, because then minutes get to counting down, and you lost all that time and effort, and even potential energy was lost whenever you see them balls drop. Judgment has been called, and it did cause a person, that may be this wealthy man, to have to actually face some consequences by way of this officer showing up, because the universe was not happy and the universe was underwhelmed with this situation, because we do get the Four of Swords coming out also in that third row. Well, this is the very first card in the third row. It's the Four of Swords, which does speak of something being put to rest, because in the normal tarot deck, in the traditional tarot deck, because I don't want to say normal, but they do depict a picture of someone in a casket, you know, but it really does have a meaning and interpretation of rest, something's being put to rest. And it's got something to do with this deception, and envy has been being put to rest. Trying to actually even lie just to kick it. Somebody was lying to kick it, but they did drop the ball, you know. And we do also get the marriage card coming out, right, with that deception and envy. Someone's marriage has been put to rest, probably due to some deception and envy, and also probably due to some sort of a loss, because we do get that loss card coming out also in that third row, right, with the deception and envy. And this marriage, is at a loss. I'm assuming that the relationship has ended because of that rest card. And the probably main reason for that ending is the deception and envy, and probably even some kind of a financial loss. And then we get the Nine of Swords coming out also in that third row, with the message of muting the body camera. And so with that officer coming out, something, was being, and like I said, there was something done that was illegal, because we got that out over in these two first rows, that this wealthy man was indulging in something that did underwhelm the universe. And it did cause the universe to actually send in an officer. And it did even put this man in a detainment, or even an arrest. And probably even, regarding his partnerships. I'm not sure, it probably got them both caught up. Whomever he was in alliance with, and whomever his lover was also, the universe has called in judgment upon this situation by way of an officer. And also by making this individual, this wealthy man, drop these balls, that he was actually juggling. He was trying to manage multiple tasks, at least two tasks. He was trying to, balance those things out. But those balls did drop, when it comes to this marriage situation and these partnerships and alliances. And there's something that's even been put to rest regarding these partnerships and alliances. And something has come to an end regarding a marriage, And I'm talking about a casket, a coffin end, what do you call, a permanent end is what I'm trying to say. And then, that Nine of Swords, which is speaking of someone being caught up in their head, and it's a physical entrapment, I'm saying it's a mental entrapment more than physical, because that's what the Nine of Swords speaks of. And that put them in a mental entrapment, whatever issues that did come to rest, and whatever loss that he did take, from dropping these balls, dropping these balls when it comes down to this Ten of Pentacles that comes out in the reverse in that fourth row. And you know that Ten of Pentacles, it speaks of abundance. You know, a large amount of money, you know, or resources, finances and resources whenever you see that Ten of Pentacles coming out, but it is in the reverse. So there was a large amount of money that was lost, you know, because we do get them both, the Lost card and the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. So this situation has actually put this wealthy man at a deficit. And then we got the Love Begins card coming out, which is this Ace of Cups in the traditional tarot. You know, and that's an overflow of love, you know, an overflow of love whenever you see that Love Begins. And then we get the High Honor card in the reverse. And that card, you know, it pretty much speaks for itself whenever you see it in the reverse. And it's also regarding a house that does come out in the reverse. So probably this Ten of Pentacles is probably directly speaking of a home, you know, that was lost. And we get the Ten of Pentacles again. We get two Ten of Pentacles, both in the reverse, because this one's in the reverse too. And it has the message of the Axon body cam on it. And then that Nine of Swords had the muting the body camera. So it does look like maybe there was some type of camera, you know, that's talking about these double Ten of Pentacles. That is pretty significant when you see there was a significant loss. And I'm assuming that this significant loss was this house in the reverse that was probably lost. And it did take someone out of their high honor. You know, someone has been stripped of their high honor that they once did have. You know, someone was once held in high honor by the universe. And now, you know, whatever actions and things and journeys that this wealthy man did take, it actually did underwhelm the universe. It made the universe was not happy with this hanged man coming out as this wealthy man, you know, and his dissatisfaction with this couple and this partnership and alliance. The universe was not in agreement with it. It didn't set right with the creator. You know, whatever love that began inside of this, you know, that maybe, you know, tried to, you know, attain a house because of some type of a love situation. And it did reverse, it caused a significant loss. And I'm talking about a bankruptcy loss, you know, everything is gone type of loss. Because you got this Ten of Pentacles twice coming out in the reverse in the same row. So that's definitely a very big part of this message, you know, that these Ten of Pentacles, somebody did drop the ball about this Ten of Pentacles. You know, they were not able to juggle and manage this situation that they had with these partnerships and this deception and envy, you know. It does come out in the reverse. So that, you know, maybe someone had to put that to rest. That deception and envy had to be put on the back burner because of these body cameras, you know. And because of this significant loss, someone had to put that to rest, this deception and envy, because they were left in their head about this loss. This loss had them all in their head. And maybe this loss was, like I said, regarding, and if these two Ten of Pentacles, that is an enormous amount of money. That is a lot of money, especially when you get it coming out twice with a house in the reverse. Because you see, this officer and the universe was underwhelmed by some of the actions that were um, taken by this wealthy man. You know, some of the illegal actions that this wealthy man did embark upon during his journey. They were illegal, these actions that he took. And then we get the Hanged Man coming out again in that fifth row, because that's a double Hanged Man, because we do get the Hanged Man coming out in the first row with this officer and the universe that did put this person into detainment. You know, this officer has actually arrested or detained an individual. And I'm thinking it's this wealthy man that comes out right in that same row. And we get that double noose, a double snare trap, you know. This trap was probably set by the universe to get this wealthy man, you know, caught up. To get this wealthy man caught up due to these illegal actions that he was taking. And see, judgment is what actually did bring in a double Hanged Man, which is very significant to the read. So we got two Ten of Pentacles in the reverse and two Hanged Men. And I'm going to leave that card right on top of that. And this officer, it's got this man in a chokehold. You know, he probably had to really and then we get the Spiritual Union card coming out in the reverse, which, you know, in the traditional tarot, it does speak of the Two of Cups. This wealthy man is in despair over this spiritual union, you know. Something that he maybe thought was a spiritual union, because we do get the marriage. Something came to rest with this marriage and this spiritual union. And then we also get the Hope card coming out. And the Six of Swords. You know, and then it gives the message of the cubic zirconia, which everybody knows is a fake diamond. You know, it's a fake. So the situation that this man had got himself caught up in, and he thought he had a spiritual union, but it actually turned out to be a fake. You know, whenever you see that cubic zirconia. And then it did even cause this individual to have to sail away from the situation. Whenever you see that Six of Swords, that depicts a person that is actually coming out of choppy waters, you know, trying to come out of choppy waters. Especially when you see this double Hanged Man. He's definitely in choppy waters, you know, due to somebody that was fake, a fake individual got this person in choppy waters, you know. And all they're left with now is just hope, you know. They can only hope to come out of this situation that they got themselves caught up in with that double Hangman. And then, we get this Knight of Pentacles coming out in the very last row, which whenever I see that Knight of Pentacles coming out, it always just reminds me of somebody that is so captivated by, shiny things. And it doesn't pose a coincidence whenever you see that cubic zirconia coming out also in that fifth row or fourth row. This wealthy man was actually lured into a snare trap, you know, and it even has to do with somebody probably luring him into this trap. The universe lured him into a trap, and also his false, his cubic zirconia partner, whomever shows up as this fake person. And I'm assuming it's both him and his partner are representing coming out as a cubic zirconia. And they both now are seeking a way out of the situation, because we get the five of this is the obstacles and challenges card, which does mean, in the traditional tarot, it's the five of pentacles, which does put obstacles and challenges in the way when this person was just money hungry, and just seeking whatever shiny thing, looking for shiny objects to attain, looking for gold, looking for anything of value from probably anybody that they came across. Yeah, it was from anybody, because we get this thief card showing up next. This person is showing up as a thief that is now facing obstacles and challenges due to something being fake. And there's probably this love situation that was fake, because it does come out in the reverse, this love card. And then we get the Ace of Wands coming out with the message of the lawsuit on top of it. So that just tells me that this wealthy man, showing up in this first row, which is the main character. I haven't seen anyone else show up on deck yet, except for these lovers and these partnerships. And then don't forget that the universe is not happy about these actual alliances that did take place. And it did cause the universe to send in judgment by way of an officer, because we did get the judgment call. And he also sent in judgment by causing this person to drop these pentacles that he's been trying to juggle and manage with these partnerships. And it was a false, it was a false person definitely involved, showing up as a cubic zirconia. That false person and this wealthy man is actually now trying to come out of choppy waters, due to this spiritual union that they thought they had. And it's left them in despair. Whatever union that they had, or that they thought they had, it was a fake union. And now this wealthy man is actually facing a lawsuit, because of a reversed love situation that he thought was a spiritual union. Somebody did take something that did not belong to them, And I'm assuming they tried to take something that didn't belong to them. And it has something to do with this double 10 of Pentacles. And it's a large amount of money, a very large amount. When you got double 10 of Pentacles, which is, one of the wealthiest cards in the tarot deck. The 10 of Pentacles is. And then you got that house in the reverse, which just lets me know that someone did, drop the ball upon these money matters, property matters, and even love matters. They dropped the ball. And that was the judgment that came from the Creator himself, from someone being a gold digger or a money hungry, a thirsty opportunist. There's been some obstacles placed in this wealthy man's journey, in his path, for being a thief. And the obstacles that was placed in his path was an arrest or detainment from an officer, because the universe was indulged by these actions that were taken and these partnerships. And he did he put the situation to rest, regarding this marriage, this false marriage. This false marriage has been put to rest. And maybe something was caught on camera, because we do get the camera card out twice. Some message regarding a camera, a body camera at that, something that somebody warned. Someone did not have any self-control regarding these partnerships. And it caused them to drop the ball. The Creator caused them to drop the ball, because the Creator did call in judgment upon this situation.